B1 family, welcome to Blacklogic. And this evening we're going to go over and do a deep dive and reveal the truth about the amount of rights, resources, and benefits that illegal immigrants are receiving. I think that's utterly important for us to break that down because they're receiving a whole slew of benefits, even through the terror, even through the crimes that are being committed by them illegally inside of our country. They're squatting inside of homes. They're taking over residents. They are dealing drugs. They are having illegal guns in this. And so it's one thing to be a citizen and commit crimes, but let alone not even be a citizen and be undocumented or be illegal in the country, unlawfully in the country, and commit crimes as well. From voting rights to social benefits, the disparities are clear and concerning because illegal immigrants have the right to vote in some states on a local level. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that illegal immigrants in some local municipalities have the right to vote, family? Have, and key word was there is have the right to vote on some local levels. And see, as they're stating, there is some sort of marginalization of Black Americans in the political process where they try to deviate the vote. They try to separate their neighborhood to weaken the Black vote so we can't, vote as a power group in a very significant. So they tend to divide city guidelines. They won't move your house, family. They won't move you. They won't tell you to or build railroads or highways through those neighborhoods anymore. That's what it seems to be. They don't do that anymore. They do it virtually. They do it by city laws, regulations, and rules. They just do it on paper. That's how they divide the Black vote. That's how they marginalize us. So when you look at the very clear comparison between the two, you have people who are illegally in the country and have the right to vote on some local elections and some local jurisdictions. And also, I know you guys are aware that the federal judges, or a federal judge rather, and the Constitution have recognized the right of illegal immigrants to bear arms. We covered that here as well. And highlighting a very glaring discrepancy in gun rights between the two groups, because one, on the other hand, are illegally in the country and under the Constitution and by the backing of a federal judge have the right to bear arms. But when American citizens, when Black Americans go to jail, depending on the crime, you lose your right to vote and you lose your right to bear arms. I want you guys to really think about that. People who are breaking laws are already inside the country with more rights than our own people. More rights than our own people. And when it comes to social benefits, we understand in the white supremacist community, they would like to believe that Black Americans receive all the DEI positions. That Black Americans are the one who constructed and now debunking CRT. They would like to believe that, even though we know that these came from their community. They would like to believe that a lot of us and a lot of our parents benefited from affirmative action, and we have not. Show me the proof where these so-called social programs benefited Black Americans the most. And then I will show you the statistics and metrics from your community, and people can take that however they want, from your community to show you what group has really benefited from these social programs. But even with that being said, family, we have illegal immigrants who benefit from the same programs that we are supposed to be benefiting from. Those of us who are in need. Think about it. Illegal immigrants are receiving WIC, Medicaid, SNAP, and they're even helping their parents over here, anchoring themselves through programs like DACA. And what about TPS? TPS, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the acronym, but in this realm of resources and benefits, TPS is temporary protected status, where illegal immigrants are protected from federal and state jurisdictions. Protected. SSI, Social Security, TAF and CHIP, all of these different programs that you wish you could probably be on or help someone else out, be part of these programs, but they're not able to do so. Because we dispel a lot of white supremacy lies on this channel where they believe that most of Black Americans are unemployed, which is untrue. Most Black Americans are employed. 40%, 45, 46% of Black Americans are part of the middle class. And if people don't think this is part of a replacement theory, see, on one hand, you have white supremacists stating that, but on the other hand, we see illegal immigration on the rise and they're being dropped off in majority Black neighborhoods and majority Black communities. I was just reading earlier, I'm not going to put that part of the program, where they're now housing migrants in churches. They're now housing migrants in churches. And once again, Black Americans are left undeserved and overlooked. And here's the one thing, as I was doing this research, family, I was really trying to find out what rights do American citizens have that illegal immigrants do not have. That is what I was trying to find out. And what I found out was one thing that illegal immigrants don't have that American citizens have. One thing. Now, a lot of you may come up. Please leave it in the chat section. Please leave it in the comment section. Because let me tell you this one thing that we have over illegal immigrants, and then I'm going to snuff it by telling you we really don't have that certain thing. So supposedly illegal immigrants do not have legal status. They can, like, when they go to court, the court is not allowed to appoint them a state or federal lawyer in order to what's the terminology? Fight the case on their behalf, okay? In order to lawyer for them, whatever that case may be. I'm gonna go over a couple of things that's been occurring that you guys may not be aware of, but I think is definitely utterly important that you guys are aware of this. Okay. See if we can get this up here. Listen in on this, family.
9 people were living inside of this Bronx home here behind me, including a 7-year-old child. Well, police say at least 9 people were living inside of this Bronx home here behind me, including a 7-year-old child. Most are Venezuelan migrants. Police say 3 of the men arrested in this case had previously been arrested and were known to the department, and they expressed their concerns that they were out on the streets to begin with. The group, which includes 1 woman and 7 men, were found to be living inside a basement apartment in 3259 Hull Avenue. The home is across the street from a school. Last Wednesday, cops were called to the house about a man with a gun. When they arrived, they found that man and another with firearms. Inside the basement apartment, investigators also found several guns, including a ghost gun. Cocaine and ketamine were also found in the house, as well as a box of ammunition. 2 people were initially arrested. 6 more were later arrested following a search warrant. All 8 were charged with criminal possession of a weapon, criminal possession of a controlled substance, and acting in a manner that was injurious to a child. Police say at least 3 of the men had previously been arrested in separate, unrelated incidents, but all had been released for various reasons. The chief of the department expressing his frustration yesterday that was the case. Police say the landlord was unaware that this group was living inside of the home, indicating this may have been a squatting situation. Police add that the landlord was actually in court trying to get these people out. That is the latest from the Norwood section of the Bronx. Kieran Dillon, Pix 11 News.
8 migrants are in ICE custody this morning.
Thank my mod. Thank you, guys. Appreciate power to the people. Deborah Chapman, thank you all for joining me this evening. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Give me the thumbs up in the chat. But here's the thing, family. They're using the same laws that were in place to protect Americans who were unsheltered, and they maybe noticed a home or a shelter of sorts that has been abandoned, let's say for 6 months to a year, and every state has their own different laws on squatting. And the states would allow them to go in and live there and occupy the home. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. If it's not your property, you don't have the right to go inside the property, okay, to solicit if there's signs or warning signs of such. And then you sure don't have the right to break inside of that home and then live in that home and start turning on utilities. That's what's going on. They're using our own laws against us. While they are illegally in the country. While they are illegally in the country.
After a raid where police discovered illegal guns and drugs in the house where they were squatting. All of this happening just steps away from an elementary school in the Bronx. And by the way, this is not the first time some of these suspects have been in police custody. Hannah Doba is live for us in New York this morning. Hannah, even more arrests were made in this case just recently.
Yeah, good morning, Marky. We know 7 of the 8 people arrested during last week's raid are now in Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody. 2 of those suspects also faced murder and assault charges in the last year, but they were released. 3 more people were arrested yesterday. We're going to show you some new video. It shows federal agents at this home in the Bronx Wednesday afternoon. There you see it on the security footage. Authorities walking several people out of the home in handcuffs. This all started last Wednesday when police responded to a call about a man with a gun near the school you mentioned. Police chased 2 Venezuelan migrants with illegal guns into their home, where they discovered they had been squatting in the basement. Here's a look at that basement. Inside, police say they found several more guns, cocaine, and ketamine, all in the presence of a 7-year-old child. 5 more men and 1 woman were arrested. Now, the suspect who prompted that 911 call that set all of this off, it's this guy on your screen, Hector de Sousa Villalta. He was accused of shooting a man last year. He was charged with attempted murder, but was later released.
Why are our cops there a second time arresting people that, one, had an open gun indictment walking the streets, one had an open attempted murder shooting in Yonkers?
That is what we're going through as Americans. And this is happening very prominently in foundational Black American communities where they're dropping migrants off, and they're now not only using our own laws against us, right, because they have this TPS status, this temporary protected status as asylum seekers and or refugees. They're now using squatting laws, and I already showed you, family, they get a whole slew of benefits and resources. They get a whole slew of benefit and resources, family, that you and I or our people would love to enjoy some of these resources. So who has more rights? That's the big question. That is the big question, family, because let me tell you, it ain't Black Americans. It ain't Black Americans. I can tell you that wholeheartedly. It ain't Black Americans. That's the question I have for you guys today. Because as we break down a lot of these benefits, voting rights. Now, I know someone in the chat stated that we can vote federally. Now, I didn't pop this case up, but there was a case out in California where they recorded 25,000, they stated undocumented people voted in the federal election for Joe Biden. So let me tell you the right way. They were basically stating that 25,000 people who are illegally in the country, this was a county in California, and you know an extra 25,000 people swung that county to blue, right? Even though he probably took all of California anyway, but the point of the matter is that has been documented. But to speak more factual, as I stated, yeah, on a broad spectrum, they're not legally supposed to vote in federal elections, but they are legally in some local elections can vote, family. They can vote. So voting, scratch that out. You don't have to be a citizen to vote in the United States of America if you do it the right way, or you're in some of these local areas where we understand that local elections are probably some of the most important elections because they're going to directly affect you. They're going to directly affect you front and center real fast versus a federal election. It takes laws to be implemented. It takes money to be dispersed for things to get going. It takes, 1, 2, 2.5 years for these things to really execute within the economy. Where things are done locally, they happen a lot faster. Okay, they happen a lot faster. They're having all sorts of reports. Okay, they're having all sorts of reports of migrants committing crimes. Because remember, a lot of people, I don't want to call out the liberal and conservative. For those people who are pro illegal immigration, this doesn't bother them because Americans do it, right? So if we do it, it's okay. And if they do it, it's okay. This is not their country. They're here illegally until they go through the process. That's the big difference. Border Patrol agents nabbed 3 illegal immigrants armed with stolen guns from Texas home. But family, I know this is one of those one stories, but there's multiple, hundreds of stories of people who are legally in the country committing crimes. And here's another thing I want to point out too. And I like to point this out every single time. Family, people want to look to these people to be Mexican. They want them to be Venezuelan because a lot of these stories are popping up. A large portion of the people are Hispanic. Yes, a large portion of the people that is coming over inside the country illegally are Hispanic. But not just Hispanics are the illegal immigrants who are Hispanic in origin are committing crimes, because you have Asians over here illegally coming through the south of the border. They just reported 3 months ago 24,000 Chinese men, and we still have crimes coming from that community as well who are legally in the country, as well as Haitians. Okay, so they're coming from all these countries, and they're coming inside of America committing crimes. So I don't want the rhetoric just to be at one community, because that's not what it is. And see, I'm looking at it from a legal standpoint, because I promise you this, family, if you went to another country and you didn't go through their process and you came over illegally, you would be in jail and you would be deported. So if we're not understanding there's something else at play here that will affect Black Americans, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell you guys. We went over the social benefits. We went over all the programs that they receive that we supposed to be receiving. What about employment rights? Fast track to citizenship, work authorization, apartments, stipends, you name it, they got it. They are even asking for the American people to house illegal immigrants. They put them in community centers, luxury apartments, homes. They're now even putting them in churches. They're now even putting them in churches, family. That's what they're doing. But when we try to come to the table and demand what's rightfully ours, they don't want to hear none of that. They don't want to hear none of that, family. And I really want to know what a lot of these people are really thinking about this. Because let me move on. I want to show you what I'm referring to here. Give me a second. Undocumented immigrants have the right to own guns, judge rules. And it comes out here and break everything down for you. It states that the court finds Flores' criminal record containing no improper use of a weapon. No improper use of a weapon. Fair use. All media sources was used into context. Now, the court finds that Flores' criminal record containing no improper use of weapon. Then it states non-violent circumstances of his arrest, I'm here right here, do not support a finding that he poses a risk to public safety. Such he cannot be trusted to use a weapon responsibly and should be deprived of his Second Amendment right. To be deprived of his Second Amendment right. To be deprived of his Second Amendment right. It says, right to bear arms in self-defense. Coleman, who was appointed under President Barack Obama, wrote in her 8-page ruling filed March 8th. And I'm going to show you all of this, family, all of these rights that these illegal immigrants have in America, and you guys are being marginalized and oppressed by some of these same benefits that they're receiving. These same benefits that they're receiving. The Constitution protects all people in the United States from government discrimination based on race and national origin. The Constitution also applies to all people, including, want to highlight that, family, including documented and undocumented immigrants. When it comes to key constitutional provisions like due process and equal treatment, under the law, they receive the same laws. They receive the same rights that we do as well. And they're undocumented. And you'll see things like this, regardless of your immigration status, you have guaranteed rights under the Constitution, regardless. Once you set foot on American soil, you have the same rights under the Constitution as its citizens. What's the point of being a citizen? What are the benefits? Because a lot of these rights, a lot of these benefits that they're receiving, Black Americans don't receive these things, but the white supremacist society believe that Black Americans are receiving everything. You got affirmative action, you got civil rights, you got CRT, you're woke, you got all of these things, man. Why are you guys not pulling yourselves up? Why you guys are not doing better? Because you have absolutely everything that you need. Now you guys are demanding reparations. You're stating that United States government owed you reparation. Well, here's one thing, buddy. You guys are a conquered people. You're a conquered people. That's why America would never pay you any money. Why do they pay the Native Americans and still paying the Native Americans and still giving the Native Americans their reparations? While there are other people from other ethnic groups and other countries who've received reparations from this nation as well. Well, this is America and they can do what they want, okay? Oh. And then they tell you with special circumstance, there was certain things that was going on and we don't understand the dynamics of the situation. You're not the slaves themselves. You're just the descendants of those slaves, so you don't deserve anything. And what they fail to recognize is that, again, if we look at it from a spiritual standpoint, we are our ancestors. We are our ancestors. And if you want to look at it from a lawful standpoint, the descendants of the Native Americans that was almost genocided, they're those descendants that you guys are giving reparations to today, every month. And they had the opportunity and they had the capital to build billion-dollar casinos where they generate damn near $1 billion a year from. Where they benefit almost $1 billion a year from. And I'm not speaking about all of them combined. I'm speaking about one casino. Sometimes one casino, depending on where it is, family, they can damn near generate almost $1 billion a year in revenue and profit. Okay? This is over at USA.gov. Okay? United States of America.gov. And you ask yourself the big question, who can vote? Some areas allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. You know I love this channel, family, because I'm gonna try to give you the truth every single time. I'm gonna give you the truth every single time. I know I said try, so go with the next. I'm definitely going to try every single time, and I want to hear from the horse's mouth. This is what I want to hear, family. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to read. So when people are telling you and speaking in rhetoric, they're like, "What's your source?" Oh, here it is. Oh, well, the U.S. government is stating that illegal immigrants can vote. Exactly. Then we already saw a court ruling where the judge stated he had no weapon charges, he had no crimes. Under the Constitution, he has a right to bear arms and did not get a weapons charge. So you got guns, you got voting. You got guns, you got voting. Okay. Laws permitting non-citizens to vote in the United States. Where that's at? Where that's at? Constitutional language. Every citizen of the United States. Only a citizen of the United States. What were they talking about? What are they talking about, family? It states here, Douglas identified 14 states, including California and Maryland, as posing no clear impediments, no clear barriers, okay, no clear regulations to jurisdiction municipalities passing their own voter qualification laws. Since publication of 2017 Article 2 states which Douglas identified as having no clear impediments to non-citizens voting have passed constitutional amendments clarifying that only U.S. citizens may vote in elections in those states. The remaining 12 states identified by Douglas are, I see California. So they actually utilize a loophole in the law. So here's the thing, family. Legally, those 25. Oh, man. This country is something else, boy. They would do everything to deny Black Americans our rights, but give it to people who are illegally in the country, the same way they did during the war. The same way they did during World War II, where they were allowing Nazi soldiers to ride on transportation, on trains, ahead of the own Black American soldiers. White supremacy is worldwide, family, and they show respect. Even they say, okay, a couple of us going to die, but we're going to shake hands afterwards. We're going to be gentlemen about this. So even though Nazi Germany was trying to annihilate the entire world, try to control the entire world, they still showed them respect. And they put them ahead of the Black American soldiers who were over there risking their lives for other people, while still being oppressed in America and still being called a nigger when we come back to America and not getting the respect as other veterans receive. Fighting and dying for their country, for their countrymen, for their family, but they didn't get the same respect. The Nazi soldiers got the respect that they should, that the American soldiers should have received. That's how they did us, family. So when you really look at these things, it's not surprising. It's shocking for a second. You know, like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know they could get all of this stuff. But then you go back and you say, well, this is what Obama stated. Excuse me, not Obama, Biden. This is what Biden stated. Look at some of this, family. We're just going to look at a little bit of it. I'm going to blow it up for you guys. Yeah. Keep families together. The bill reforms the family-based immigration system by clearing backlogs. Oh, they're just going to speed them through. Like, hey, we know the welfare system in America for Black folks in the hoods and the ghettos and low impoverished areas. We're going to make sure you only have one teller, so you're standing outside for hours to receive services and benefits. But when these illegal immigrants come over here, family, we're going to clear all the backlogs. We're going to recapture unused visas. We're going to issue them back out. We're going to be very speedy about those things. And we're going to embrace diversity. Come one, come all. Don't matter what country or what continent, we're accepting you. Okay? Even though when we look at some areas in the Black community, we need to be investing in those communities, the future of America. But because they're Black, we're going to do you how we did them in the 60s. And we're going to put, like in the 60s, they put Asians in our neighborhood and then let Asians create businesses and build businesses. And that's why that corner store that you used to go to when you was a kid, depending on how old you are, remember that corner store? It was that old man or old lady. Remember that? They put them out of business, and then the next person came up with Asian. And family, I don't have anything against Asians. I'm not saying that. Okay? I'm just telling you the truth. This would occur. Now they're dropping off illegal immigrants from multiple countries, from Asia, from the Caribbean, from Africa, okay, from Central America, from South America. And they're dropping them off in the Black community once again. And now they're using the church. They're like, oh, at first we're going to drop them off in the Black community. We're going to use old schools that needs to be renovated, but we're going to patch it up for the illegal immigrants. We're going to patch it up for the illegal immigrants to come in. So let's go ahead and throw $5 million at the school, rebuild it, get the HVAC system up and working, get the floors completed, get the walls taped up and patched up. We're going to do all those things when they come in. We'll get some cots, we'll get some blankets. We're going to have 10 chefs. Let's get 10 chefs. We're going to do all the food from all the different countries that they love. We're going to get 10 chefs, get them all the resources, all the food that they need. Then the schools filled up because the shelters was already filled. Majority of the shelters was already filled. They had to create new shelters. Okay, they had to create new shelters. So the shelters were already filled. They went to schools. They're popping up tent cities where they're doing everything. They're doing everything. You would think that someone dropped a nuclear bomb on Central America. You would think that someone dropped a nuclear bomb on South America. You would think that someone dropped a nuclear bomb on China. You would think that someone dropped a nuclear bomb on the Caribbean because everybody is coming here illegally. See, and here's the thing, family. You may think I'm blaming the people. I'm not blaming the people. I'm not blaming the people. The reason why I'm not blaming the people, because I can understand if their government and countries are unstable and they don't want to stay there and fight, if they don't want to stay there and build, I get it. They want to flee to a country that's already well established and utilize their resources and utilize their laws. I get it. I get it. Yeah. If you don't want to stay and make your country better, if you don't want to stay and build that infrastructure and create jobs and opportunities, but you want to go where people have already done that so you can leech and feed off of them, I get it. I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the way we're handling this as a country. I'm mad at the way that we're handling this as a country. And 87% of Black people voted Joe Biden in, and this is what's going on. Shame on us. Don't get me wrong, family. Black people wasn't the only people that voted for Joe Biden. Asians voted for Joe Biden. White people voted for Joe Biden. But here's the kicker. It was our vote that landed him in that seat. It was our vote that put him in that office. That's the problem. So when you get things like this, promote immigrant and refugee integration and citizenship. The bill provides new funding to state and local governments, private organizations, educational institutions, community-based organizations, and not-for-profit organizations to expand programs to promote integration and inclusion, increase English language instruction, and provide assistance to individuals seeking to become citizens. Protected status, family. Temporary protected status had expanded under the Biden administration. He said, you know what? The protected status is not long enough. So we're going to go ahead and stretch this thing out. We're going to stretch it out because these people need to be protected. And we're not going to go over these figures, family. I just want to show you some quick numbers here. The source is Pew Research. I just want to show you guys some quick numbers. But I wonder have you noticed we've never received the rolling out of the red carpet? See, I realize this too. I realize this too, family. I realize that if people have not had this experience, meaning that they lived in impoverished and Black community like I have, growing up in the hood in DC, I understand they can't even imagine what a lot of us, whether you from the DMV area, Louisiana, certain parts of Texas, certain parts of California, Mississippi, Alabama, you name it, Florida, all the different hoods and ghettos and low impoverished places that Black Americans live in to this day. But then you'll have people who looks like you, talk like you, and are you in some regards, and in some cases, speak as though there's not a system of oppression that they have only allowed a certain few to benefit from certain programs. They only allow a certain few of us to do very well in this country. Did you guys just see the story with the lady that had a Chevy Camaro? And OnStar, by the way of Chevy, was sending the information from her vehicle to LexisNexis, and LexisNexis was selling the third-party information, and her insurance company found out that every now and again she had over 100 pages because she was, probably speeding like everybody else does. If the speed limit is 60, you're going 70, or you're going to be within that 70 range. And some of you people don't even care. You just go 80. It don't even matter where you are. The state says 60. Okay, I'm going 80. And they were reporting this to her insurance company, Black lady. And her insurance went up 80%. Her insurance bill went up 80%. Man, that's 100. So whatever she was paying, it doubled. That's what's going on, family. That's what's going on. Look at this. Let me show you guys this very quickly. I'm messing up over here. Give me a second. There we go. Non-U.S. citizens have the same constitutional protections as U.S. citizens, except for the one that we stated before, right? Non-U.S. citizens have the same constitutional protections as U.S. citizens when charged with a crime, including a right to attorney. Nonprofit organizations and immigration legal clinics may offer free or low-cost help through immigration legal services. Some organizations in Texas that may help immigrants include and a lot of these places are doing this work pro bono for Fortune 500 companies. Why would Fortune 500 company lawyers or mega lawyers or large law firms, why would they do this pro bono? Why they would do it for free? Does anyone know? It's very simple. This is all business. This is all business. They would do it as a tax write-off. Because if I'm a lawyer and I make $800 an hour, I make $800 an hour. Now my law firm is going to pay me, but they're going to send me down to the border to represent some of these illegal immigrants. And I'm going to report those hours I put in. And they're going to fudge the numbers a little bit. They're going to inflate the numbers a little bit. And those are huge tax deductions because those hours of service are donations. Talk to your local CPA and tell me if I'm lying. Talk to your nearest. I'm trying to tell you, family, this is all about business. Because here's another thing. Why is Governor Abbott not going after the ranchers, not going after the farmers who are hiring illegal immigrants versus the illegal immigrants. Who has a bigger play at this? The motivation behind a job at the border, the one who's hiring them, who's essentially calling them over? I'm just asking. I don't know. But I can tell you this, the incentive is greater if migrants are come across the border illegally and you have ranchers and farmers who are hiring them, which is should be illegal, and they're getting away with it. Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. I'll move on. We kind of went over this already, family. We went over some of the social benefits that they receive, but there's a couple of numbers I wanted to point at you guys, and hopefully you can see this, okay? 54% of households headed by immigrants, naturalized citizens, legal residents, and illegal immigrants use one or more major welfare programs. This compares to 39% for U.S.-born households. You got that? That's not even important. The rate is 59% for non-citizen households, green card holders, and illegal immigrants. 59% of them are receiving social benefits from America. Illegal immigrants can receive welfare on behalf of U.S.-born children. DACA, those anchor babies, and illegal immigrants' children can receive school lunch, breakfast, and WIC directly. So remember all the social benefits I went over earlier. A number of states provide Medicaid to some illegal adults and children, and a few provide SNAP. 7 million illegal immigrants also work authorization. TPS, as I told you before. Who has more rights? I'm just asking. And I'm not trying to formulate a narrative to convince people that illegal immigrants have more rights than American citizens. I'm not trying to do that, family. I'm not trying to coerce and manipulate your minds so you can believe my rhetoric, okay, and my propaganda that illegal immigrants have more rights. My only question is, who has more rights? Who has more rights as a U.S. citizen? Is it the U.S. citizen or is the illegal immigrant? I'm just asking. Because some people are thinking about coming over and changing their name to be illegal. Because the benefits and the packages that people are receiving are staggering. Here are some other programs that they receive. States right there, immigrants receive social benefits, including. What about a business grant? Interesting, is it not? Micro Enterprise Development Program for Refugees, which offers training and microloans up to $15,000. How are they going to do that? Are they going to get an EIN number, TIN number? Are they going to use their social? Do they got a social security that can be linked to that EIN number? Or they're going to create a whole identity form and track them? What if they give you the wrong name? I don't know, family. I'm just asking questions, right? What can you do with $15,000 for your business? If you had $15,000, and let's say debt was not an issue, debt is not an issue, what type of business would you start with $15,000? Is $15,000 good enough to start a business? I would say for majority of businesses nowadays, especially in the gig economy that we live and work in, $15,000 is a great amount of money to start a business with. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Let's keep going. Look at this. The qualified immigrant category includes refugees, people granted asylum or withholding of deportation, certain abused immigrants, their children, and their parents. Why is this significant? The 1996 welfare law created two categories of immigrants for benefits eligibility purposes: qualified and not qualified. You see that? Qualified and not qualified. So once again, these laws, believe it or not, family, have existed a lot. And American citizens were no wiser. Majority of American citizens are thinking about those very large topics and areas, and immigration has always been one, but it's one that people have been ignoring ever since, like, Bill Clinton. I don't want to say Reagan, because Obama, he was deporting a lot of illegal immigrants, believe it or not, family. Statistics show that Obama was deporting thousands of illegal immigrants. And then this thing became front and center during the pandemic. President Trump, he utilized Title 42. Joe Biden came in and lifted Title 42, or the time expired for Title 42. And Joe Biden has created multiple laws for fast track to citizenship, even in an illegal status and not going through the regulatory process. Catch and release, and people hate that term. Like, oh, catch and release. Yes, it is. Customs and Border Patrol agents were literally told that they would detain a migrant for 72 hours in some of these detention camps that they have. That's what they want to call them, or migrant camps. And then they will release them into the public. So in Texas, they said, no, we're not going to release them to the public. We're going to ship them to black cities. See, everybody has a hand in the undermining of the foundation of Black Americans. He didn't have to drop them off in black neighborhoods, but he did. He could have dropped them off in a sanctuary city. He said, no, let's go to that neighborhood. I like that neighborhood. Let's go to that neighborhood. So family, these people like to believe that they're very intelligent, very slick. And we have to be very, very aware on how they utilize their power. And they want us to really, really give up on reparations. They really tired of us talking about reparations. I'm hearing a lot more hate when we talk about reparations. It don't matter what platform I go to, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. It don't matter what platform I go to. There's a lot of hate. It's like, man, get that hate out your heart. Get a Snickers or something, right? And like, eat a Snickers, dude. You're angry right now. They talking about who, and everybody has the same argument. Who? My tax dollars ain't paying for that. my goddamn tax dollars ain't paying for that. I'm like, America is a monetary sovereign. Your tax dollars won't be paying for it. They'll just print more money. Your tax dollars is not paying for it. They're just print more money. I don't know what they're talking about, family. I have absolutely no idea what these people are talking about. Look what America has done. Aren't we like $34 trillion in debt? 34 trillion, strong and growing. That's what's going on. Let's see who's in the room. I got my mod, Jermaine Anderson. Thank you for attending me this evening, sir. We got Deborah Trotman, asking what state that I live in. The Lone Star State. Okay. How does illegals have a Second Amendment right? That's what the Constitution states. That's what a federal judge actually ruled on. Just my opinions. No, very vetted. The proof was shown here this evening. Our people fought, protested, and voted for illegal to have these rights. Thank you. That's the whole point I'm making. 87%. 87%. Power to the people says, yep, Operation Paperclip, Nazi defectors helped form NASA. Did you guys see that movie, Oppenheimer? Anyone see that movie, Oppenheimer? Good movie. But the question I was really trying to ask myself, I'm like, is Oppenheimer German? Is he British? Was he a Nazi? Was he related to a Nazi? Is one of his family members a Nazi? I'm not gonna lie, family. I should know this. It's a 3-hour movie. Let me just tell you, your boy nodded off a couple of times. The movie was good. The movie was good. It was informative. I was tired, maybe. I don't know if it just got boring. You know how the movies have some dead parts. I'm telling you right now, I'm dead. But it was a good movie. But nonetheless, I was really trying to find out the relationship that Oppenheimer had, because throughout the entire movie, someone who hired or who was in the midst of making the nuclear bomb, the atomic bomb, with Oppenheimer, they were brought up to Congress to speak on the situation. I forgot. Family, don't call me. But anyway, was Oppenheimer a German or a Nazi, or did they find out later about that? That's interesting, because you're right. Power to the people. You're right. You're right. They sure did help form NASA. And I'll tell you this, family, when it comes to coding during that time and advanced technology, the Germans had it. The Germans were far ahead of Americans. The one who made that code machine, okay, that I think this was during the Vietnam War, that made that code machine, a German engineer made the coding machine, and they couldn't decipher our code when we were sending messages. It was a German who created that. It's a German fellow. So I was really trying to find out. I know somebody's going to look that up, but put that in the comment section, family. Put that in the chat section. We got Yoda. When I explain reparations, I have to explain the Federal Reserve first. Okay. Okay. I don't go that deep. I won't lie to you. I'm not going that deep. Miles apart said he's running late. Okay. Deborah states, I live in Florida. DeSantis is not having illegals get all those benefits. Maybe not. Maybe not. He's a good old white supremacist. Now, I see my sister Tana Marie in here. She says white Americans receive 44% of food stamps. That's damn near half. Yeah, I think the illegal immigrants get the rest, sister. Now, this is a question that was posed before the video started by our number one coon in chief, Solid Snake. He said, I want to know why is it important to support the LGBTQ community policy as an FBA? I don't got nothing for you, bruh. I don't got nothing for you, bruh. I don't. I'm not going to even entertain that, family. But I must thank you all for joining me here this evening. It was a good time. I think a lot of you are going to formulate your own opinions about this. Again, I didn't want to leave you with my bias. I did not want to leave you with my bias, but you know where I'm headed for this election, family. Good old couch. You know where I'm headed for this election, family, the good old couch, because they have nothing for us. And I be sure, damn, I don't have nothing for them. We don't have nothing for them. We are feeding, housing, and all of that other stuff. They mostly live with sponsors. Okay. Talking about the illegal immigrants. I got you. But family, if you're not subscribed to Blacklogic, please support the channel by hitting the subscribe button as well as the notification button. Not asking for donations. I'm just asking for you to click that subscribe button, support the channel with your time and your viewership. Anytime I go live, hit the notification button so you are alerted. I thank you guys for joining me here this evening. I believe this is an important topic, and it's some things to look at on a local level and as well as a state level, because when we look at the many rights that this country are affording to illegal immigrants who are illegally in the country, these are sort of important conversations to have to make sure on a grassroots level that we are selecting and electing the right people into office. We're not just voting for people because of their skin color. We're voting for people because of policy. We're voting for people because of policy. And if we want the type of policies that we need for our communities, we can we can definitely be on the fast track of reparation when we start selecting and electing our own government officials, and not with the white media and not with the white supremacist groups present in front of us as champions for Black folks, because we understand that has not helped us.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farm. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Be one family.